Hey everybody, hi, hello, and welcome back to the channel. This is your dude, your boy, your man's Patrick, apparently. So, before I get into anything, since I've publicly gone on the record as saying that the Moon card is one of my favorite majors, I also want to publicly go on the record and say that I don't know about that no more. Um, I think that I forget sometimes that I guess the moon is still one of my favorites. I feel like I have a lot of moon. It's like high priestessy moon energy, um, where it's like sometimes I can feel guided towards a certain direction, and I'll just know that that's the direction that I'm supposed to go in. But when I get there, I'm like, WTF? Like, why am I here? like, like I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. I'm so uncomfortable because I don't know anything. And we're not gonna know everything all the time. So I'm trying to get these. One second, now. Trying to transfer my last three um, strawberry cool icebreakers into this other one. Yeah, and I think I forget that sometimes when it comes to the moon and when it comes to having just a general sense of what direction to go in life. Um, it's that quite often I do find myself not really knowing why I felt led towards a certain direction. And I feel like with that moon card, like I've been saying, it's something that we can feel way before we will ever see it. And when it comes to my own intuition lately, I feel like I've kind of sort of been not dimming the voice of it, but it's just like I don't know why. like I need to see why I feel guided like this. I need to see like why I feel this way. I need to see what's going on so I know that hey, like this is a space that I actually want to be in. Cuz like when it came to Purdue, I spent a whole year at Purdue, isolated and miserable. But at the end of my first year, I saw some things about working at the front desk of the dorm that I lived in. And I was like, oh, that'll be a way for me to make money and to get to know people that I live with. It was a win win. And that ended up actually being a huge door for me and an arena that I stayed in for many years and one that I kind of grew in and one that afforded me a lot of other opportunities. And, that's where and how I met my very, 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 very good friend, Emily, because I took that job. And there were a lot of nights where, I'm a night owl, so I worked a lot of later shifts, and there were some other night owls who would like come and just hang out sometimes, and she was one of them. And then I remember one day she was like, "Patrick, it sounds like you're depressed." I was like, "Oh yeah, I probably am." I was like, "Yeah, it's like I know it. I just I've never done anything for it." And then one day I randomly walked to the fountain at like 3 o'clock in the morning because I just randomly woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I'm gonna walk to the fountain, and then I found her there crying, and she was like, "Patrick." I was like, yes. And then I had to get closer to see who it was, and it was her. She was like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "I just woke up and felt like I had to come here. Like, what are you doing here?" And then she told me about the night that she was having. And I was like, oh, I guess this is one of those times where, I just wake up or I just randomly feel called to go a certain place and then I discover why. And so maybe I just need to remember that now. Because when I look at, and if I tap into my intuition, I feel like it tells me things or it's guiding me in directions that again like I can't explain. And I've been growing a lot and I think it's time for me to grow some more. I guess I can put these down. Well, there's the tower. Tower was at the bottom of the deck. Oh, these are my birth cards. The chariot in the tower. The chariot was at the bottom of the deck with the burdened one right there. And honestly, that's something that I feel like it's time for me to release and to just flow more with the Knight of Cups. Move forward from the heart and from those spaces that know things that the mind just can't know until the mind knows it. Two of Pentacles, that's going to be the key to come into the space that I actually want to be in, besides or rather than the one that I don't. Ace of Swords, and then that's when the knowing will be granted to me. And that's the thing about the moon, is that like it gives you these, it's also illusions and other things, right? That's the thing about the high priestess side of the moon energy, is that sometimes we feel led and guided in certain directions and we won't know why until everything plays out. And I feel like a lot has shifted and a lot has changed, but at the same time nothing has changed in me. My intuition hasn't changed, or what I feel led and guided to do hasn't changed. Oh, there's the devil and the Son of Wands. Who's coming out to beat that devil up? Who is it? Ooh, the Wheel of Fortune. Your time is over, pal. But we do have to stick it through the tough times to, get to the you got to stick through the storm to get to the rainbow. Six of Swords, right? It reminds me of my little cousin yesterday. She was sitting in the back of the cart, and then she got up and moved to the front of the cart, and she was like, I disappeared, and then I reappeared up here. And we both said magic at the same time. She was talking to my mom because I saw her do it. I saw her move from the front to the back. So of course she wasn't talking to me, but with my mom, she was like, I disappeared from the back. So there are these things that in the long term, if we're not paying attention, it may seem like it happens like magic, but there is this process as the wheel is turning that goes on. Right? So I'm actually going to go live on the Legacy channel today, and I'm just going to pull for what the retrogrades sort of have all in one. I've done this. I did the Jupiter one over here. I did a Saturn one over there. And I'm just going to pull and see kind of sort of how they all play together. So, because I can't do anything else right now. Because I hit this roadblock. Like, come on. I have like 2 months and a week to finish this. Y'all are really gonna be pushing me. But I'm gonna do it. So I guess it don't matter. But yeah, and maybe it's not for me to get away from still posting over there either, since I do have a larger audience over there. And it may actually be helpful to people. Maybe I was a little too quick to try to go back to the shadows. Return to the shadows from whence I came with my knowledge and perspective. Right. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. Because there's not much that I know right now. But there are a few things that I feel that I don't necessarily feel comfortable saying that I know. Even though that feeling, again, it hasn't changed. Even as the world and the wheel has turned. And so, again, it's like sometimes we don't know why until we know why. And it's not for us to necessarily, we figure it out in time. It's not necessarily for us to obsess over. It's just for us to trust and to continue building with, I guess. So I'm gonna be releasing some more and just walking on faith. Cause I don't know. I really don't. So let's get into this. So for today, the 5th of October, what do you have for us? What's important for us to know today? Just plot that tower back on out if it's supposed to be out. I think that might have been for me, though. Well, and then the chariot was at the bottom of the deck, and those are my birth cards, so probably. And maybe that's another thing. It's like, I move forward in these situations. I don't know why I go through these massive tower moments, but then I kind of discover the reason, the purpose, the person, the situation, the opportunity, the whatever. You know? Oof. Man, I'm growing. But I guess, life is unpredictable. I feel like, honestly, for a while, I remember watching Steven Universe. But I feel like I've been on this fairly narrow path all my life. And at a certain point, things just got super wobbly. And I'm just like, what is happening? I'm just going to try to stay calm and proceed. And like things wobbled even more to the point where now it's like this single narrow path has diverged into many. And not all paths necessarily align with my highest potential. There are lots of paths that occur if I'm distracted, if I run away, if I decide not to rise to the occasion, if I decide to throw all my growth away or just stay stagnant with where I am. And then there is probably more than one path, but they probably also intertwine at some point. This series of paths that are a continuation of the one that came before, but it may proceed in a different direction. And my intuition is going to be the only thing that sort of keeps me there. And that's also a thing about the Six of Swords in a lot of decks, and this deck in particular. We see people being ferried across a river by the ferryman, and the ferryman knows the way. The people in the boat just trust the direction that the ferryman is guiding them in. And by the end of the journey, you may hit a few 7 of Swords, 8 of Swords, 9 of Swords, 10 of Swords, choppy spots before you get to the smoothest parts. But that doesn't make the direction of the ferryman any less accurate or valid or important. Sometimes we just gotta, and I've been saying it for a minute, the journeyman and the malaise, sometimes we just gotta continue working even when things get a little tough, because, nights don't last forever. They don't. And then that Prince song, it's on Purple Rain. I don't know what the song is, but I just heard that. I would die for you, but not die, because, that doom, I would fight for you, or whatever. 8 of Cups and the Queen of Swords. She's been coming out more than the King lately. Okay, so today, come on, please, give me, there we go. Oh, interesting. Bottom of the deck is interesting. So we're moving forward with our heart. We're moving forward with our intuition because we're being guided in the right space. There's the ferryman who holds the universal Mercury. Who can see the entirety of the path before us. We just have to trust that it's guiding us in a certain direction. And there will be times maybe when we want to look back because we're just like, and I talked last night on the Legacy channel about Orpheus and his lover and how they were like he was literally steps away from saving his lover from the underworld and being reunited with her. But at the very last minute, he turned back and she went right back to the belly of the beast, to the underworld, wherever she was. And she might have actually been in the Fields of Elysium. Like, I don't think she was in a bad part of the underworld, low-key. But I don't remember the full story either. We may want to turn back sometimes when, listening to that old cut may get a little rough. And there's a difference between, listening to the cup for this and listening to the cup for that. So it's definitely time for us to move forward with our hearts and to unburden ourselves and to not be so concerned and worried with everything. Like how I posted a few days ago, today's a great day to listen to your intuition. Look, and then there's the high priestess with this Four of Cups. Now they're looking in opposite directions. The Four of Cups is looking towards, in my hands, the Four of Cups is looking towards the past, and the High Priestess is looking towards the future. But the way that it pops up on screen, the High Priestess is looking towards the past, and the Four of Cups is looking towards the future. But that Four of Cups looking towards the future has lots of reservation, and then the High Priestess is almost getting clarity on some things in the past, right? But again, how I see it in my world, the Four of Cups is upright, the High Priestess is in reverse, looking towards the future, because of, with the moon up there, the things that we just don't, that we can feel, but that we don't know, that we can't see. Now there's the Mother of Swords with the Four of Cups. I told y'all that Queen of Swords energy keeps coming up lately. Usually, or before it was the King of Swords, and the King of Swords was actually at the bottom of the deck when I finished shuffling, but can I get 2 to 3 cards to tell the story of the Knight of Cups, please? Or to tell us where we are in this little section of the story. Ooh, Judgment. Can I get like at least one more, please? Can I get one more? Because what I was thinking about, and again, it's kind of related to Orpheus and how he turned back at the last minute. With Judgment, it's like we're in the space of making this judgment call, and it's like this Knight of Cups is at the finish line, but like the thing with Orpheus's lover, like she was a spirit, so he couldn't hear her breath, he couldn't hear her footsteps, he had no way of knowing if she was really behind him or not. And Pluto or Hades told her, like, if you can get her out of here, then you can have her. And I guess before he crossed the finish line, he just wanted to make sure that she was actually there, because he had no way of knowing whether she was there or not. He wasn't allowed to turn back and look at her. And he turned back and lost her at the last minute. And again, it's like, it's this energy of being at the finish line, but needing to break through some things, or to let some things go, or to be fully transformed to claim it. This is a very Plutonian energy. But see, the thing about Pluto is, like, Pluto isn't necessarily the most communicative or the easiest to understand the motives of. I guess I'll leave it here. Bottom of the deck is the Ten of Wands. And I said something about unburdening yourself as you move forward. Well, here's the opportunity to release those burdens. I'm going to I Ching these two and these two. And the Knight of... Yeah, because it's like, so we're moving, and again, the whole point is to kind of sort of liberate us from these things that keep us sort of bound. It's this final push of the chick to get out of the egg, or the butterfly to escape the cocoon, or the tadpole to push out some legs and some other things before it can turn into like a frog and go on the land, right? We're at this moment, this in between, this transitionary period, and it's like we won't see how much we've changed really until we allow ourselves to be new. And as we're approaching these final barriers, this reminds me of the dead end card in the Wild Unknown Archetypes. As we approach this dead end, we're looking back like like is this actually like real, like is this working out, or was I just suckered into, you know, abandoning my quest? Like, but to go that far and to be that close, to turn around and be like, I don't know if this is legit. Like, at least go to the other side. At least fulfill your end of the bargain. At least do what you know you need to do before you turn around and try to, like, back away. Mm. I'm talking to myself. I might have to rewatch this one because, like I said, it's just like, even with Purdue, I was miserable the first year. I'm like, why did I feel led to come here? Like, why am I here? Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing here? There is nothing for me here except isolation and misery. Why did I feel guided and led to come here? And then, you know, you live a lot, you live enough life, and then you find out. You just gotta tough it out sometimes, right? Because even in those moments when I wanted to leave or when I wanted to give up, something still told me, like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And it's not really easy to accept when you're in those spaces of confusion and darkness and just being overwhelmed. But at least, you know, asking and questioning everything could be one or two or three ones that you can put down. And then I kind of sort of do have to ask myself, have I really tried some things? Right? Because I feel like it's easy to be like, I'm making myself open and available to this and for this. But then it's like, well, have you really tried? And in my own personal life, I can't honestly answer yes. But I don't want to answer no either because I've done some things, but you know, I feel like I haven't really taken any leaps. I've set myself up to. I've marched myself to the edge of the cliff. But you know, if I'm just standing there and I try to jump, I'm not gonna go that far. I do kind of sort of need a running start to maximize the potential of me clearing the whatever. So I guess I also ask you if this is something that you watch and resonate to in some ways. Like, have you really tried though? Like, actually tried, and not one of those like, oh, you know, like, well, I'm doing at least the bare minimum when we're not even doing the bare minimum really. But it's like, have you really tried? Because the orders, the directives, the assignment, your intuition, your heart, wherever you get your higher source of knowledge from, at least in my case, again, if it resonates for you, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. The direction hasn't changed. And if it gets a little rocky and it gets a little rough, when the going gets tough, the tough get going, right? Or I guess when the going gets tough, the tough get tougher, and the ones who have been roughed get going, right? The ones who are like, oh, it's too hard, I quit. The ones who say uncle before they even before they even, I don't know, get touched. So it's time to sort of dig down a little bit and to come out of your own shell and comfort zone to discover why we've been led to this place in the first place. So the Judgment card and the Eight of Swords. Excuse me. This is going to be Thunder over the Lake. Ooh, that sounds. We've had Thunder Over Lake recently. Thunder Over Lake is 54, Marrying Maiden. Yeah. So that's the one about you're in the situation where you're kind of sort of the underdog and you can come out on top, but you have to be smart and you still have to play by the rules. The Marrying Maiden, Affection and Moderation. The family lineage continues. Children, fertility. Your endeavor expands as new and innovative ideas are implemented. Like the maiden engaged for marriage, plans have been implemented for a new chapter in your life path, and if you follow the proper rituals and procedures for the endeavor, then you will enjoy innovation and expansion. The marrying maiden is not the head wife. She is a concubine. Yet the concubine can ascend to the throne of the empress if she uses cleverness and cunning, exercised within the constructs of propriety. That is how you prevail. The undertaking is ominous but advantageous. Ominous but advantageous. Heading for this Ten of Wands, heading for what looks like a dead end. Maybe it's like platform 9 3/4. Like you just gotta run for it and then you end up on the other side of the brick wall, you know? And if, those of little faith kind of sort of end up smacking their forehead against the wall. But, if you smack your forehead up against the wall, you get up, you dust yourself off, you'll be fine. Now let's do the Six of Swords and the Ten of Wands. This is going to be the opposite. This is going to be Lake over Thunder. So we have Thunder over Lake down here, and then Lake over Thunder up here. Lake over Thunder up here, here. Hey, sorry. 17, Inspiring Others. Okay. That card came out last night. I didn't want to take it, but Inspiring Others by bold example. Excuse me. Inspiring followers. To lead, first you must serve. A follower becomes the leader, and then we had the concubine that became the empress. A follower becomes a leader. It's time to grow out of the shadow. To lead, first you must serve. A follower becomes the leader. Followers must come to you by their own volition. You cannot secure them by force or cunning. Force them and they will resist. Serve them and they will serve you. Reward loyalty with generosity. Trust in your own excellence. The leader acts with logic and detaches from emotion, but inspire your followers to act with emotion and detach from logic. Adapt to the circumstances. Change and perseverance bring you prosperity. Unlikely folk become your allies. Diversity is how you accomplish your objective. Now, there is a large collective message with that, but also scaled down a little bit. I do like that because, I've been talking a fair amount about, excuse me, like mission trips and missionary work and stuff like that. When people go to, other countries and they sell Jesus, basically, to people. The lovers and the 10 of obstacles, the 10 of wands. Maybe once we get out of that, we can fly. It's like you can't. It's almost like the overhead, the canopy in this forest is too thick for us to really fly, and the trees are too dense. So we kind of gotta clear or reach some clear land before we can take off. And I don't know. It's you got to keep moving forward. And then there's that Father of Pentacles with the Ten of Wands. But it's like how your life should be your testimony. Like you shouldn't have to go and sell your spirituality, your religion, whatever you believe in, whatever system of love that you subscribe to other people. Other people should be, there's that. But we triumphant out of that darkness. See, that's what the butterfly is emerging out of. So we're in this moon energy now, where we had that cocoon, but when we break free, we can clear the trees, rise up, and then we'll be like, oh, like, what? Yeah, like that was just really, really, really thick brambles. Like it was a thick forest that was really dense. So you thought it was nighttime. You thought the moon was out, but in reality, the moon was the sun But again, the forest is so dense that it doesn't allow that sunlight in. But here's Judgment, the Knight of Cups. You're being led in a direction to clear it and to soar and to claim things that maybe you haven't had in a while. Honestly, it kind of sort of feels like, oh, well, look, there's the same moon, but this moon got a penny in front of it. This one is the one stuck to the ground. And I feel like that's just telling me that there's multiple ways out of this. And we choose whichever way is more, whichever way grows us more, right? Like if we need to come into an area of self triumphance, being victorious within the self and flying above things, then that's how we get out. If we're in the space where we actually need to learn how to sort of double down and keep our nose to the grindstone and to put in the hard work to come out of it, then that's the path that we need to take. It's going to be different for everybody, you know? And then here's that Wheel of Fortune that turns this sun into the king that we saw earlier when we got a preview of the fortune that he has to come. So I'm getting a final message out of these because I'm about to use these on the Legacy channel. So I don't want any like bleed over, even though the messages kind of sort of resonate back and forth in between them. I'll just pull this card right here. Oops, well, we got two cards. And then there's the Ten of Wands again. But the Daughter of Swords and the Two of Swords, honestly, this feels like an energy of us doing things that we never thought that we would do before. And it's interesting because this thought that we have is a thought that we already have, right? This Daughter of Swords is not the Ace of Swords. So, like, she already has this sword. This isn't brand new information coming to us, but it is information that we're going to be using for the first time that is going to really keep us out of these spaces. And I remember yesterday, we had the I Ching of the water seeks movement, but the mountain seeks to be still. And then I was watching one of my buddies. He did a pick a card reading, and he talked about Scotty. And Scotty was a mountain goddess, and she was tricked into choosing a water god as her husband. And she wanted to stay in the mountains, but he was drawn to the water, and so they didn't work out. And he was like, Scotty kind of sort of paved the way so that we don't have to fall to that deception in our own lives, right? And she was told that she had to pick her husband by their feet, right? She only had the feet. They were like, you can have anybody that you want, but you got to choose by the feet. And it's like, you know what? I ain't got to choose by the feet no more. No. Give me, I will look beyond the veil, beyond whatever little thin layer of trickery and deception that you're trying to put on this, and I will choose the one that actually, stands tall against me. The sun to my moon, the moon to my sun. Iron sharpening iron. We both become better, and not because we are. It's like it comes with time, it comes with age. Iron sharpening iron. And it's not that it's going to be argumentative, but it's someone who you can bounce ideas back and forth with. And as you're bouncing the idea back and forth, it becomes better. Like you sharpen them, they sharpen you, and together you're like these blades that can cut through anything that might only stop at each other. Bottom of the deck is strength. It's gonna require courage to move forward with whatever this information is that you already have, but you just never really used. Or maybe you didn't try, but now it's time to try. And that's True Kind of Love. That came out yesterday. But there was a point. Knight of Cups, Knight of Pennies. See? Those are the two earthen knights. Like, those two knights together can bring life to an entire world. Archangel of Healing with the necromancy right there. And what's this card? The Ace of Wands, Sacred Fire popping out too. But she was like, you gotta try. You gotta try. It's the truth. There's the King of Swords. We've been seeing your wife all day. I guess we start with the King of Swords and we end with the King of Swords, but we saw the Queen in between. So, final message from the SK2, please. I feel like I don't complete a lot of thoughts because my brain goes a mile a minute and my mouth can only go, you know, a few feet. But my brain is already on to the next thought. Oh, goodness. Oh, well, the Two of Cups. So, oh, come now. Oh, come now. There's the King of Wands. Bottom of the deck is the Bereaved, the Three of Swords. You gotta be brave. Right? To seek ultimate fulfillment, to hold ultimate fulfillment, or to engage in that space, one has to face their fear of losing it, right? To have and claim everything that you want and desire and deserve, you have to face your fear of losing it. If you're too afraid to lose it, then you'll never take it in the first place. And then, hey, you just lost it. Is this the Erudite? Oh, looks like the Erudite. We saw him yesterday. Yup. That hermit. When we remember, was it yesterday or the day before, with the hermit that finds their way, follows the source of the river all the way back, and then they also find the rivers of self-love, or they follow the river all the way back to unclog their self-love, to cleanse all the chakras, or to put the chakras in this space where the energetic system can maintain itself, because naturally that's what it's supposed to do. But it's only with all of these external worldly things that we sort of allow to clog up our system that its ability to handle itself gets disturbed, right? Just like your body takes care of itself unless it's disturbed. And went down and claimed the light of the star for itself. And then we have the Ten of Swords. And the bottom of the deck is the Three of Swords. And then we have the Two of Cups here. But I feel like, so there's this space of evolution between the Three of Swords and the Ten of Swords. Almost like, and this is an Egyptian headdress, and Kali is a goddess associated with, come on, the Hindu religion. It's Hindu, right? I confuse Hindu and Hindi sometimes, and my friend made fun of me one day for it. But I think it's Hindu. I'm pretty sure it's Hindu. But it's like, there's almost this feeling of like, if we handle within ourselves and if we carry within ourselves what we can carry, then on a larger scale, the rest will be taken care of. But there are these things that we have to face in and of ourselves in order for this energy to come forward. It's like this is an avatar linked to this down here, right? Like somehow their actions are connected. And so as we take care of our Three of Swords, in higher dimensions, spirit is taking care of things in a more Ten of Swords manner. But we have to be sort of determined and focused to do that. It reminds me of like, if you shovel an inch, spirit will shovel a foot. And for every inch you shovel, spirit is shoveling 2 to 3 feet, and you clear the drive a lot quicker, and then you can leave. But if you never get out there, like, spirit isn't going to just do it for you. Because, with everything retrograde coming direct, these are kind of sort of spaces where we learn to do it ourselves, where we can grow. And we can't grow if spirit is doing everything for us. Like, your faith can grow, yeah, sure, I guess. But you and of yourself can't grow. In this world that we're coming into, it requires grown people, right? Because we saw what some people did in the name of spirit in the past. And it's like, okay, so all of the responsibility being on spirit does not work. We need for humans and humanity to evolve and to come into their own hearts, because this deflecting and deferring the spirit, it ain't doing their hearts any good. Have you seen what they do to each other? And then they try to claim that some kind of spirit or religion is involved in that. Where's the love, though? Like that one song, Where is the Love? Right? Knight of Swords, Eight of Swords, and the Queen of Wands. This is interesting. Knight of Swords, Eight of Swords, and the Queen of Wands. This is a release of our spark and of our fire, right? We have the shining zephyr or the shining winds. We have the shining winds coming for the captor, and once the captor is free, they become this golden shield. And it's almost like this Knight of Swords is the air that penetrates through this cell tower, through this cell. I don't know why I said tower, but maybe someone's stuck in a tower. The Knight of Swords is the air that penetrates through the cell tower that reignites this tiny, dying, sputtering spark into a raging inferno again. And once we're reignited, it's like we burn down, melt down the walls of the cell, and we just walk out. Now, we do kind of sort of have to learn to temper that fire, because we ain't trying to burn the brand new world that we're creating for ourselves, but we're also not going to allow ourselves to be trapped really either. So I think that's the King of Wands that just flipped over. We'll take those two. Oh no, it was the Vagabond. Okay. And now the Erudite is at the bottom of the deck again. I'll give this a little shuffle. The Erudite and the Empress. Speaking of claiming that divine spark down there. And we do have to really figure out how that energy works up here, because I don't think it's been here in its truest form for a minute. So bottom of the deck is the Corruptor, Seven of Cups. Make good choices. Choose the things that... Well, with the Empress coming out, it's almost like creating choices. Because in this deck, every single cup is bad. Every cup is linked to one of the 7 deadly sins. And we walk away from all 7 of these cups with the 8 of Cups, and then we claim the one, our wish fulfillment, that was probably that ace that we rejected at the 4, and then we happily ever after at the 10. Here's the 5 of Cups. So we have the 5 of Cups and the 5 of Pentacles with the 2 of Swords in between. If we can't be in this space of and we saw the Knight of Cups and the Knight of Pentacles that seeded this new earth, right? We can't be so stuck in the past or so committed to our isolation that we don't allow these things to bloom, right? Because with the blind seer in between, it's like she's like, I know that in the past I faced isolation and I faced heartbreak and disappointment, but I also trust that the divine is guiding me to a position where those things will no longer be. I trust that in this new world there will be abundance, there will be fulfillment, there will be community, there will be all of those things that I didn't have in the past. I just have to blind myself to those things as I feel my way forward. Can't allow the fear to really eat at you, because then you're going to keep manifesting these cups that are all non-options. None of these cups are a viable actual option, right? That's why I just be like, sometimes I'd be like, yeah, here are these opportunities, but these opportunities are non-options. None of these are really viable. And in my world, it's like I basically still have no options. Yeah, I could distract myself with this. I can go down this path that doesn't lead me where I want to be. Or I could follow my intuition even though I don't know why it's telling me what it's telling me. But we trust it. And then eventually we find our space and we find our place. So I hope y'all have a good whatever whenever you see this. This was a little... Oh, no. It wasn't. This was still long. Goodness. Sorry. It is what it is. I'm going to hop over to the Legacy channel and start this direct retrograde thing, and then just proceed with my day 12:12 on the clock, because apparently Spirit got me in a little bit of a timeout. Or maybe it's not Spirit. Maybe I was trying to go a little too gung-ho down a direction that wasn't truly meant for me. And honestly, it's something that, like I said, I'm learning. I'm learning a lot of different lessons right now, and it feels like sometimes following my intuition is almost disregarding some of the things that I've learned. But if that were the case, then my intuition would have changed, right? So that's what I got. I hope y'all have a good whatever whenever you see this, and I hope y'all are acting in alignment to achieve the best possible outcome and scenario for you. Emphasis on acting, emphasis on alignment. Catch y'all. I mean, if you come directly to or if you want to check out the Legacy channel video, Catch me there, I guess. I don't know.